Hello everyone, my name is Nikki and welcome to my channel. In today's video I am doing a bullet journal for the month of March, and this is inspired by plants and flowers, as you guys voted for in last month's poll, because in every single bullet journal video I add a poll so you guys can vote for which theme you would like to see the most next month. This is a theme that won and I felt incredibly inspired by tropical plants. As a plant mom myself, I thought that this was absolutely perfect and I really felt in my element here. So you'll see a lot of tropical plants and a lot of really cool monochromatic doodles that I had a lot of fun making, and I hope you all enjoy. Don't forget that you guys can also vote for next month's theme on the poll in the cards, so you can click or tap on the eye and vote for what you'd like to see next. On the first page, to welcome in the month of March, I drew a lot of leaves from Bird of Paradise plants, and I'm using Unipin fine liners in the colours dark grey and light grey. I'm doing the leaves in the background in the light grey and the ones in the foreground closest to you in perspective in the darker colours, adding a little bit of black, and I mainly used a pen in 0.5mm and 0.1mm. I always use the same materials in every single bullet journal, so it really shows that you don't need a lot of different materials or really expensive arty things to be able to produce good work, as long as you have something you can work with it. I also decided that this month I would love to experiment a bit with the design, so you can see on the right hand side there is a line going down the centre of the page and around the drawings, and this is because I'm doing some sort of Dutch door design. It's basically a cutout on this page, and I thought I'd like to have a play around with it because I've never done anything like that before, and I felt inspired by some posts I found on Pinterest. You'll see me do the cutout towards the end of the video just to finish off, but I really do love this theme, and I feel with all the tropical plants and with the weather recently, it's starting to be a lot more like spring, and I feel having these vibes is something very tropical, warm, nice, full of lush green leaves. It all brings me some really nice warm vibes, which is very pleasant, and I thought that this would be perfect for this sort of transitional period, and maybe I'll have to redo something like this for the summer. Also, I stamped the word March, accidentally got the C stamp the wrong way around, so please just ignore that. And then we move on to the next double page spread. To begin, as always, on the left hand side I do a little calendar, and the design is slightly altered to fit this Dutch door type thing on the intro page because a chunk of that page is going to be cut out. So I basically did all of the month from the 1st to the 31st and then drew these leaves underneath. These aren't necessarily representing a certain type of plant, but they look like some really cool tropical leaves with the same sort of design because I like to use a lot of lines and really elongate the plants. I really like how this looks and the sort of theme that I was going for this month, so I tried to make all of the designs very cohesive. You'll always find me using the same techniques in my bullet journals, and mostly what I do the main drawing in a light grey or medium grey colour, and then I like to make the pieces or the elements further in the back lighter and those closer to the front more dark, because even though my drawings are 2D, I really like to make them look more realistic, more 3D, and just bring some things forward and bring some things backwards, because that little bit of perspective in the drawing can really make all the difference. So I then start to layer the pens, use darker colours towards the front and lighter colours towards the back, and just add that little extra bit of depth. Then at the bottom of the left hand side page I stamp the word goals, and then at the top of the right hand side page I stamp the word to do. So on the left hand page I'll write down all my goals for that month so I have something to work towards, then on the other page is just my to-do list and any tasks that I want to achieve. Following that, we then have my trackers on the next double page spread. So on the left we have my mood tracker, and on the right we will have my water drinking tracker. For the left I decided to go with the Birds of Paradise theme, so I drew one big leaf in the center of the page, and behind it I drew a myriad of other leaves just in the light grey so they won't show up too much, and the one in the center I tried to draw darker. Basically, as you can see, there are a lot of lines here, a lot of line work, and my idea was that for every single day I can then colour in one of these little segments in a different colour, and I always go for the same colour scheme, a dark grey, medium grey or a light grey. Sometimes I might just do it dark or light just because I don't like to overcomplicate my whole mood tracker thing, and I really just like to focus on getting to the point and being clear with it. So I'll just colour it in, darker the colour the lower my mood, lighter the colour the brighter my mood, and just fill that in as the month goes. I decided to draw it quite loosely, make it look quite more artistic, so didn't look too obvious as a mood tracker. And then on the other page, I just have a very simplistic grid. I felt that because the left-hand page, there was so much going on, it didn't really work to have too much going on the following page. Balances out a little bit, and sometimes you just need a little bit of empty space to make up for the other used space on the other side. I always say that I need to work on my water drinking, and to be honest, even though I've had this as some sort of New Year's resolution to drink more for the past year and a bit, honestly, I have been sucking at that and I need to drink more. I'm very dehydrated. Next, of course, we have some of the useful things. Not as exciting, but of course necessary, because bullet journals are supposed to be practical, while I also use mine as a little creative outlet. So on the left hand side we have my savings page, and on the right hand side we have my YouTube planning page. Now, I just got a new job, so all the finances and savings are very important. I like to log what I'm spending, how much I'm earning, money I'm bringing in, taking out, and just trying to make an overview at the end of the month to see if I'm actually making profit or if I'm spending too much money, just to try and keep track on that and see which are the worst months, where my money is going, if I can make any cuts, and try and save towards university and other big things that I have coming in the future. Then for YouTube, I have a little what I'll need page, so for any resources or anything that I'll need, I can note that down. A little plan for which videos I'll be posting or which video ideas I have, and then a little tracker as well for my growth, so I can track how many subscribers and views I have at the beginning and at the end of the month, so I can see my growth as a whole and just reflect on that and see, for example, if there are any correlations between the videos I'm posting, the frequency that I'm posting at certain days, just try and work out trends and track everything, because I like to be able to know what's going on. In the center of the page, I believe it's a eucalyptus plant, and I just love the way it looks. It's very simplistic and minimalistic. The leaves are very round, circular with a little point, and again, I use the same technique with drawing the lines as if they're veins on the plant, just to keep the whole aesthetic and theme very cohesive. Because even though plants are all so different and all so unique, I just think that it would be cool to focus on certain elements of the plant and draw them in a stylistic manner that makes them all cohesive in order to make them fit together in the bullet journal. Next, we have the school stuff, which again is incredibly necessary and useful for me. On the left hand side we have my homework page, and on the right hand side we have my revision tracker. So on the left hand side I write down the homework and most importantly the due date and a tick to see if I've done it or not. I have a space to write down the topic of revision and a space for a check mark so I can check it once it's done, and at the bottom of that revision page I then have a space to write down any upcoming tests, so I know what to prepare for, I can prepare for them, do well in them, and make sure that I can tailor my revision towards them. I like to keep it simple but very useful indeed, and to fill up the space in the middle and just add a little creative flair, I decided to draw some string of hearts in the center of the page. Now this is probably one of my favorite plants, my most favorite, and I have so many in my room. I absolutely love them to bits, so I had a lot of fun drawing them. I tried to keep them cohesive with the whole line design, and I felt that was shown through the vines of the plant. Then I mostly used my light grey Unipin fine liner to colour in some of the leaves, and then I focused on doing the outlines and some veining in a darker grey and filling those in too. I tried to keep the doodles and the drawings very simplistic, so mostly you'll find me trying to layer up the colours, starting with the lightest grey and then working my way to the darkest grey. I don't think I added that much black in here, maybe just a tiny little smidge, but I focused it with the greys because you don't really need black all the time. I like to work with the different shades mostly to create the biggest effect. And I found that on one half I started to colour in half of the leaf in a little striped pattern just to add a little bit of depth, darkness, and to create the effect that one side was a bit more forward than the other, and just to create that separation in the veining and the two separate parts of the leaf too. It worked out very nicely, it was quite simplistic, and then we move over to the next double page spread. So here I have my happy space and my little drawing at the end. So I've started including this happy space and it really has been working very well for me. I basically write about things I'm enjoying, things that make me happy, things I'm grateful for, all of that sort of stuff. Do little doodles. It's a bit like a brain dump page, but for positivity. Bring me some good vibes because I think that's very important, especially if you're stressed or going through a rough time. And then on the next page, I just have a really nice picture that makes me happy and I can enjoy my time making. And I think one of the the main points about my bullet journals, something that makes it quite personal to me and my specific style, is it is very artistic. And for me, I really do love art, and it's something that really relaxes me, makes me feel great when I do it. So being able to actually devote the time to doing these really pretty drawings and these doodles, it makes me feel good, and it does wonders to my mental health. It's just a little bit of relaxation every now and again while also doing the productive stuff. So I think it's very important to have these little pieces in my spreads. I remember when I first started doing bullet journaling, I felt very obliged to have all these sort of different trackers and really make it all based around productivity. But I find, especially in the bullet journal communities, you have two types of people, or two different types of journals, more productivity based and then more creativity based. And I prefer to make mine more creativity based, but that's just my personal preference. And everyone, no matter who you are, what bullet journal style you have, everyone will have a different preference, and that is perfectly okay. I drew some different types of plants, mainly 3 old monstera leaves. These are Monstera deliciosas, not Borsigianas. I love the holes that they have, and actually recently I managed to get my hands on a real Monstera deliciosa and not Borsigiana, and I was so happy when I found it. It is a big chunky boy and I love it so much. It's in my hallway. And then I have some other little plants, little leaves, kind of remind me of Sansevieras, but they're just some miscellaneous leaves I decided to draw in, and of course a couple aerial roots from the monsteras, and I had fun drawing them. I tried to make it quite simplistic again because I didn't want to add too much colour to the leaves, mainly focusing on the shading, some of the veins and all. It was quite fun, very relaxing and therapeutic to me. Again, the same techniques as always. I start off by drawing everything in a light grey, and then the ones further forward I draw them again but in a slightly darker grey, and I just keep on working on the bits that's supposed to be more forward than the rest, making the pieces in the background lighter, the pieces in the foreground that's much closer, darker, and then I added just a little tiny bit of black pen to really add a little bit of emphasis on other parts around the plants too. Ultimately, as you see me draw this, even though it takes absolutely forever, and in the video it's only a few seconds or minutes, you can see the progression and how all the layering up really does help to create that final piece. And I feel like even though that this is some sort of rough sketch style that I like to do in my bullet journals, I would really love to be able to, you know, get a full page of a sketchbook and just draw this out, and maybe do watercolors and stuff and do this as a full sort of little art time-lapse video. That's something that I might consider in the future. So if you'd like to see something like that, then please do comment down below so I can really go all out, maybe do some sort of live stream like that. I don't know, so many ideas, and I just feel like I've got so many ideas for videos right now. If you do have any ideas, please do feel free to leave comments in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to take them. And really right now it's all about building up until you are happy and until you are satisfied with the finished look and finished design. I tried to add emphasis on some of the holes in the leaves because I felt that the monsteras were getting a little bit lost, so I used a light grey fine liner to just fill in those holes with that stripe design, make the leaves look forward a bit more, then sort of do a few rough lines around the edges to again bring the leaves forward. Now that we're almost finished with the design of the bullet journal, I'm going to flip all the way back to the very first page where I have the introduction to March, and as you can see I have a little guideline there. So I have this cutting mat which I put behind the first page, and the sharp knife. If you're young, please don't use this by yourself, have a parent's supervision and just be very careful. To begin, we have the first page of the calendar, my goals and to-do list. Then we have my trackers for my mood and for how much water I'm drinking. After that, we then have the tracker for my finances, how much I'm saving and spending. Then for YouTube, my plan, what I'll need, and to track my views and subscribers at the beginning and the end of the month. Following that, we then have my homework tracker and my revision tracker, so I can track which homework I need to do, any tests that are coming up, and plan my revision effectively. After that, to finish off, we then have my happiest space for little doodles and notes about the things that make me happy that month. And to finish off, I use Unipen fine liners in light grey, medium grey and black, some alphabet stamps and that little X-Acto knife. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please give the video a like, don't forget to share and subscribe to see more. You can press the bell to receive notifications when I post videos. And I will see you next week. Bye.